Estrella. And this is we're switching gears into something more positive in a way. Every once in a while, there comes along a band that is so different or unique, you would think they were dropped on Earth from another planet. Pyramids on Mars is one of those bands. What catches you first is that they are an instrumental band, a combination of elements such as hard rock, industrial metal, and psychedelic rock. And then the lead guitar comes soaring in. Well-crafted, beautiful, melodic phrases, so catchy and memorable, they will be stuck in your head the rest of the day. The guitar has become the vocals of the music. It is the solo project of guitarist Kevin Estrella. He wanted to do something musically different that would stand out from a crowd, and this certainly does if you haven't checked his music out already. Kevin recorded, produced, engineered, and mastered his first debut CD, self-titled Pyramids on Mars, released in 2013. He performed all the instruments on the album and did all the drumming and the programming. He has been capturing music industry attention, getting international radio airplay in the United States, Canada, South America, and Europe. He is a regular guest on Brian the Hammer Jackson Radio of Los Angeles, and to over 4 million listeners and a weekly speaker on Real Rock Radio out of Chicago. And Pyramids on Mars is really the music of the mystical red planet. His website is pyramidsonmars.com, and he has some really cool stuff to share with us tonight. So please welcome Kevin to the show this evening. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Solaris. Oh, so glad to be back.
I'm so glad to have you on tonight. I was going to say, do you want our misfits? Can we ship them up to Canada? Are you good with that?
Yeah, we have a meat grinder up here, and then we ship that off to, to India.
We're going to send them up to you. We have all these so-called celebrities who are really overpaid entertainers. They're just dying to leave. So we'll just send them a map, and yeah.
We have a big meat grinder ready for them.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good to me. And you heard it here first, folks. Oh, well, how are you doing? So I know you've been busy. Let's talk about you.
It's been, I am always very busy, but very focused. And, there's things that I've been working on to seek to come to fruition, and they are finally coming to fruition. And sometimes I kind of have to stand out of my own skin and go, is this real? Is this really happening? Have I actually been able to do all this? It's quite incredible, actually.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're moving very quickly. I know that one. And also you have a new thing that you just started with classes. And so why don't you tell the listeners about this? I find this to be so awesome, and it looks fantastic. So go ahead and share that information with everybody.
Yes. Well, I wanted to, last year I had a concept that I wanted to release my own guitar lessons, online guitar lessons in the style that I do, which is very specific. Because my guitar style, I come from the school of Yngwie Malmsteen, let's put it that way. I'm very influenced by classical music, like neoclassical, Malmsteen. And then after studying him for 2 years, I decided to listen to his influences to understand how he thought, and so I started listening to Bach and Vivaldi, and then that's where everything changed. It was like listening to music for the first time, and then I spent the next 7 years just studying Bach and Vivaldi, and I wanted to take my guitar playing, and I was more inspired by what violins were doing and what harpsichords were doing, and so I started to change my playing, and even between this is kind of the evolution of an artist. Even after the release of my last CD, which is Echo Cosmic, since then I have completely reinvented myself again in my own playing. And now my lessons that are available online are a reflection of the direction where I am going. But here's the funny thing. Then I even started listening to some of my older music, and it's like I'm starting to hear the influences of myself inside myself. It's amazing, because like one song I wrote back in 2011 was called Venice Floods, and then when I listened to this song, because I kind of wrote it and then I forgot about it and threw it away, and then I listened to it, it's like, oh my god, this is actually the direction I've been heading with my new album. It was like rediscovering myself all over again, thinking, geez, this sounds really cool. Mm-hmm. And I was doing this 4 years ago. So it's kind of like, it's really strange to get influenced by yourself. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what's been going on.
Yeah, well, we were touching off air. We were talking about this a little bit about morphing and how you're constantly mutating and shifting, and I find that very interesting. But I think that's the sign of a really good artist. It's a sign of somebody who actually has a lot of skill, because they keep progressing onto different levels and dimensional spaces. And I hope my audio is not going in and out. It feels like it is. So if it does, I apologize. But go ahead.
No, no, you sound fine.
Okay, great.
It just at some points where it kind of sounds a little bit maybe brighter, and then it kind of comes back down, so I
Yeah, I
can
think
still
I'm
hear you
blowing
quite
it out.
clearly.
I'm blowing out my own audio. It was that rant. No, go ahead.
The lines are hot.
I'm telling you, go ahead. No, but seriously, yeah, I'm just really proud of you and the work that you've been doing. And also, if people want to purchase your album, I know they don't call them albums anymore. What exactly do they sell these days? I feel like I'm in a time tunnel sometimes.
I've always referred to them as albums.
Okay, I do too. I still call them albums. But what's the best way to purchase those? Is it on your website or
Yes, yeah,
Amazon? Okay.
yeah. Pyramids on Mars. Everything is available there. Both my CDs are available there. You can listen to it right off the website, and then there's links for purchase physical CDs or digital downloads. It's all there. The website is very. There's a lot of stuff on my website there. There's videos. All my radio interviews and magazine interviews are on there. And last I counted, it's getting up to like 60, 70.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I'll tell you what, your website's fantastic, and I love the idea that you're putting these classes together for instruction. And I must say, and I was touching base with you off air on this, but it's literally so inexpensive for people to get in there and learn something from someone like you who's so skilled in this area.
That's right. If you go down to a music store and you want to take lessons are, last I checked, are like $16 for half an hour. And that's probably on the conservative side. I've seen it's more like like $25 an hour,
Hmm.
$30 an hour. So with my lessons and the stuff that I'm teaching, each lesson can probably end up, if you really sit there and listen and take it, it's going to take you half an hour, maybe 2 or 3 hours, depending on your level of, to really absorb it, of what it is what I'm teaching. Every lesson comes with a PDF attachment that has a complete transcription, so there's no second guessing in regards to what it is that I'm playing.
Hmm.
But I don't want you just to learn the whatever it is that I'm teaching, the riff. It's a matter of teaching you the skill and then taking that idea to be able to create your own. I want people to take the concepts that I'm teaching and then make it your own, and then start morphing and take one idea and then just kind of change it a little bit and make it your own.
Hmm.
That's what the important thing is. So each lesson is an entity to its own,
Hmm.
because I'm teaching concepts and techniques that are outside of normal how people have visioned guitar playing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Um,
quite a gift, actually. You're giving people quite a gift, and it's
yeah.
a great price. And I encourage everybody. I also posted the link in the chat room, but I encourage everybody to take a good look. And also for those of us, or those who are listening and don't have access to the chat, how would they get in there and access it? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to get to the lessons is go to my website www.pyramidsofmars and click on lessons,
Okay.
and then there'll be a link in there, and it'll take you directly to the website.
I think that's wonderful. In the old days when people really admired an artist, they would just listen to the album over and over and over again and practice everything and memorize it that way. And that's how they learned
Mm.
from their quote unquote, whoever they were interested in
Oh yeah.
replicating. So I'm sure you can relate, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to take I used to take albums and you know slow take up rewind the tape and try and learn what it is that you hear on the tape.
Hmm.
We didn't have internet.
Right.
So
Yeah. Big difference, isn't it? Well, I
yeah.
played the flute when I was younger, so I used to do that same thing. So yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting. But those are the good old days. To me, it just seemed like that was a more genuine way to look at stuff. But it is true now. Technology has made it very, very easy for people to start to learn, and these virtual classes are phenomenal.
It makes anybody, anybody can become a virtuoso guitar player because they have so many tools at hand. It's just, the technology just makes things expand faster and faster, and that's why it's so much more difficult for an artist these days to, crack into the music industry than it was, say, 20 or 30 years ago when, a band could be playing in a bar and an A&R rep comes in and says, "Hey, I like you guys. We're going to help develop you, and get you guys off." That those days are gone.
Yeah, it's almost sad though. But when I think about that, I think that it seems like back then it was easier to get that kind of success. Nowadays, it seems like, well, first of all, I don't see any real musicians out there, which is one of the reasons I like you so much. Is you have such great quality skill. I mean, you obviously are a real musician, and that is like a blessing on so many different levels. But there are a lot of people out there in the industry who don't, in my opinion, have any musical skill or talent, and yet they get signed, with all these contracts out there in certain areas.
Hmm.
So, but in the old days, it seems like they would have had more of an advantage, but maybe not. Maybe you're right about that.
It's a strange world out there. I mean, the people who get record deals, and you wonder, how they got to where they were, or they were a band, they got together for a couple of years, and then they got a lucky break. They knew somebody who was an air rep, and I was reading stuff about the Tea Party from Canada, and I'm not sure if you know that band, or even what's the other band, Billy Talent,
Mm-hmm.
and how they were together for 10 years, but they had a friend who was an A&R rep with Sony and got them a record deal. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, you gotta be kidding me.
Really? Well, to me, it seems like you would be. I'm sure you're very, very popular in Canada, right?
I'm popular worldwide,
Yeah, that's what I
and
was
it
going to
just
say.
keeps expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit almost at 80,000 Twitter followers now, and
Wonderful. I know you're just taking off. I love it. And you're one of those people, like I said, who has such beautiful talent. I love listening to your guitars and your music. It's just phenomenal. I encourage everybody to take a listen if they haven't heard you already, but I'm sure they have. But yeah, and I do like the pyramids on Mars. That's, we probably touched on this before last time you were on the show, but I think for our listeners who were just tuning into you, how did you get inspired to write about the Mars thing, pyramids of Mars in general? And what strikes your interest about that?
oh boy, well we know where that goes. Um, the I've always been passionate about extraterrestrials and their presence here on Earth and the anomalies in our solar system and artifacts in our system. And I've spent probably 20 or 30 years studying extraterrestrials and felt that it was always my calling to raise consciousness and awareness of their presence here on this planet. And the name Pyramids on Mars I took because it was just the concept of pyramids. I've always worn a pyramid since I was 16, but I didn't know why until recently. And the my music sounds like it's from Mars because I use a lot of analog keyboards, and they just have this warm resonant sound to it that sounds like something you'd hear if you were on Mars. But I wanted to do it from an auditory point, and also as an educational of teaching people about the extraterrestrial presence here on this planet. And then August 21st, 2014, they made their announcement to me that yes, this is actually your mission, and an interdimensional craft flew within 100 yards of me, and then went across the distance in my backyard, opened up a portal, and then went into it.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. I remember you telling me that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a blessing when you see things like that that are so anomalous and so significant. That tells you that you're on the right path.
Hmm. That's
And of
right.
course, you're a star people. You're a star being anyway. We all know that. And if
Yes.
people listen to your music, which is one thing I love about your music, is that it sings to the spirit and the soul. I'm very very etheric when it comes to listening to music, and there's certain things that I can feel that are consciousness oriented and DNA activation oriented versus just a regular rock and roll band or whatever they are. So this is what I like about you is that you actually activate to some degree. You do have a certain type of resonance that you use that actually is very free flowing in consciousness, and that's what I like about it. And also, I wanted to get into the 432 hertz, which I know that all of your music has been converted into 432, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay, so why don't you let everybody know why you decided to do that? And I know why, but why don't you go ahead and tell everybody?
Well, a little bit of background about my music and what is different about me is that I tapped into a higher consciousness years ago when I was in university, and it was actually my awakening took place when I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, and I was listening to Jimi Hendrix live at Monterey, and it was the song "Foxy Lady," and I was air guitaring to it, and then when it came to the guitar solo, and I was just in such a passionate embrace of the music, I became one with the music, and then it was just like my head exploded open, and I was in such the feeling I was connected to the universal consciousness, to the creator source in a way that I had never felt before, and I never wanted to leave that presence and that feeling. It was absolutely incredible, and ever since that moment, whenever I'm playing my guitar or I'm writing music, that is a state that I put myself into, or try and reach that state, to be in that same state of mind. And so my music flows directly from very high, from the creator, basically through me to my guitar, and I become one with the music. And it's a vibrational thing, it's a frequency thing, and I think that's also the reason why I was chosen by them, is because I am speaking from a higher basically helping people towards a higher spiritual or our spiritual journey.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why these ETs are here, is to help us to get to that higher state, and that we are all one with consciousness. And then these strange things started happening after the UFO thing, where I got this download of this DNA symbol that it became on my guitar, and I didn't know what this DNA symbol was. But the funny thing is that 3 days after I saw this, I had this dream where my custom guitar was being handed to me, but I had this DNA symbol in the neck. And then 3 days after that, I'm followed by Neck Illusions on Twitter, and they actually have a custom patent for graphic neck designs. So it was just like the synchronicity. And then I contacted them, and not only did they create exactly what it was I saw in my dream, but I ended up getting a patent design for it. But then I met you, this was over a year ago, and you explained exactly what the symbol meant,
Hmm.
which blew my mind, and it completely made sense with regards to what's been happening with me, and it's DNA. It represents DNA activation,
Hmm. Oh,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
and that's
It's
yeah,
synchronicity, like you were saying. Isn't it amazing? It's almost like the universe has mapped everything out ahead of time and the illusion of time. And literally, you're just accessing it as you go. You're
yeah,
navigating those waves. I think that's fascinating. And the thing is, this is really what I like about this conversation tonight, because we've been dealing with some heavy, heavy stuff here on the timeline, as you know, in America, with all the politics and all this aggression. And honestly, normally I'm really high frequency and I'm just in the bliss mode, but I've been forced into war zones where I have to at least address the situation that's happening here. But what I like about you and what the work that you're doing is that you're raising the vibration. And literally, people need to understand that we are navigating to higher levels of consciousness where we've got to let go of this baggage. We don't have time to have conflict anymore, and these finger pointing, sword pointing, all this crap has to go. And I mean, just give people a chance, for crying out loud, was my point. When I was talking about this, earlier about President-elect Trump, give him a chance. This whole craziness, inciting garbage. And you look at it. What's interesting, Kevin, is as you see how mainstream media has contorted and twisted and mangled everything in propaganda. Then you have pure energy like yours that's out there doing the music. And this is why I say, people, please shut off mainstream media. Listen to good tunes like what Kevin does. Do something that's going to help you along the way to activate you on a higher level of your own design work, so that you can let go of all this baggage, because it's not ours to own.
that's right, that's
So,
right.
you
Yep,
know,
that's exactly right. I
I know I get into these roles, so you have to stop me, Kevin. But
no,
literally, it's true. I
no,
mean,
it's true.
in the old days, when we were having maybe a bad day, people would take a drive in their cars. It used to be popular, or do something where you'd put music on put your ears on and go take off and listen to music, and that would change the whole dynamic of your day. And I'm sure you can relate to this. And I'm still like that. I still love to train to music. I love good music. And it's like, it's really sad to see this friction going on here on the timeline, and also understanding that, yes, these other beings, off-world species, we have to step up to the galactic neighborhood, as we've touched on this before on the show. But what I
Mm,
also see is that we are the star people, and we've also talked about this, that we're not just here in a suit. We actually come from the cosmic design. So it's our legacy to step up to those frequencies, right?
that's right. And because we're here to we are the guides helping people to see the light, and to as you so call, as we've talked so many times about uh, lifting the veil,
Hmm.
about displaying the matrix for what it is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're an old soul, and I know that for sure. I remember that when I first had you on the show. So, and it's nice to have old souls who have a lot of knowledge and wisdom in them. And how you relay that is through your music, it seems like. And I kind of asked you off air if you like to sing or not, because I know you have a pretty voice and I know you can sing, but you don't want to go there right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
going to put you on the spot, Kevin. I had to do that. I'm
I
sorry.
know. There's someday I'm gonna, or we'll be sitting around a campfire. You'll be throwing me a guitar and say, "Okay, Kevin, sing now."
That's
I'm
right.
like, "Oh
Oh,
man."
gosh. Yeah, when we escape up to Canada. No, I don't think I'll be escaping up there. I would like to come visit you, though. But yeah, that's funny. Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah, you should sing. But seriously, I see that coming too, because you have all this beautiful music that's there, and it seems like you'd have some good tunes and good lyrics to put to it. Also, what comes to mind, because you have such a correlation with Mars, do you have any interest in writing anything about Atlantis?
Probably at some point. Yeah.
Okay. That might be
Yeah.
something you might want to look at too. That just, for whatever reason, I thought that there was a correlation with that Mars and also the Atlantean energy. So that would be
Mm.
really nice. You can start working with that. And also, one thing I was going to ask you that I didn't get a chance to ask you the last time you were on, but I know you have specific guitars. Have you ever thought about creating or building your own guitar?
To a certain extent, yes. But it's so hard for me to kind of conceptualize it because my two favorite guitars are so different from each other, but they're like my children.
Hmm.
My main guitar that I use for most Pyramids of Mars is my Joe Satriani JS1, which is the first release back in the early '90s, the very first guitar series that he ever released. So that guitar has a specific tone to it, and I love that the feel of that guitar. Yet I also have my Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, which I built myself, which has a scallop neck and it has its own voice. So it's kind of hard for me to to figure out, conceptualize what would be my if Ibanez approached me for what kind of guitar I want, or if it'd be Fender approached me. I do have ideas in regards to the ultimate instrument I'd like to have, but I would definitely need a lot of guidance because I'm still conceptualizing myself.
Right. You
Yeah.
know what I always thought would be cool would be like a quartz instrument, like that would have the beautiful harmonic, obviously, but anything with a quartz guitar, even I always wanted a quartz flute. I always thought that'd
Hmm.
be really cool because just because of the frequency alone, when you're working and playing those instruments and sound and how the resonance works with vibration, it just takes you into another orbit completely.
That's
I don't know,
interesting.
something to look at. Maybe you'll encounter that now that I mentioned it, but
Hmm.
I would look at if I was a guitarist, I'd probably look into a quartz guitar.
Hmm.
I don't even know if they make them, quite honestly. I'm just thinking that it would be really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to think about that. Yeah.
You never know. You'll probably run into somebody now saying that they have access to that. But so has your UFO encounter experience has it increased over the years after that one incident, or what's been going on since then?
Well, it I let's see here. It I had my greatest ESP experience exactly 10 days prior to my sighting, and I know that that has a huge significance to it. It's that is very important. And then I also came to my understanding, speaking with Art Bell's producer, that she was kind of probing me, and I finally realized that my ESP had been increasing, and I became very consciously aware of it during the writing of my first album. So there's all these correlations in regards to me discovering, becoming higher in consciousness and all these strange things happening. I wish I had more control over the ESP, but I don't. I'm at this point. I'm still learning. I'm
Mhm.
still a student. However, what was really amazing this year was that I've realized that my ET friends are still with me because we were doing a photo shoot in the east end of Toronto, which is about 2 hours away from where I live, and I got photobombed by a UFO.
That's right. I remember you telling me this. I need to get that picture so people can see it. Is it on your website? It is, right?
It's actually it's on my Twitter.
Okay.
So if you go to at pyramids on Mars underscore, the picture there, if you look at it, you'll see a picture of me with my guitar standing behind, looks like a mountain, and then just to the right, there's like a something circled with a box, and it's increased. If you click on that picture and increase it, you will see there is an anomaly. It is definitely not a bird. It's not a plane. It is a metallic spherical ball. It's kind of silver in color with this kind of weird teardrop energy formation around it. It is a UFO. That's the only way I can describe it. So what that tells me is that they purposely did this. It only was in one shot because we took over 100 photos that day,
Hmm.
and it showed up only once, but it was perfect the way it showed up. And it's just enough so that if you do believe, you'll want to look at it more closely. If you are a non-believer, then you're going to just dismiss it. But it's we've increased it by so much. And I even had somebody else who was a skeptic. He went into it and pulled it up, and he says, "Yeah, there aren't any Photoshop. What do you call that?
Yeah, Photoshop
Anomaly."
type.
Yeah, Photoshop anomalies, or that you could tell someone's a photoshopped because it doesn't matter how good the picture is, you'll still see some of an outline around the object.
Hmm.
He says, "I can't find anything in here. This looks pretty genuine,"
Yeah,
and
it
I
does.
know it's genuine because like when the photograph was sent to me from Mark Marianovic, the photographer, he didn't say a word.
Hmm.
He just sent me all the pictures and made that the biggest banner. And I looked in the background, going, "What the heck is that behind me? That's weird." And they increased it and went, "Oh my god."
That's pretty interesting, isn't it? You know what comes to mind? You know how some people can, and I've seen a lot of people who are star people oriented. They'll project or they'll set the intent to attract a UFO or something anomalous or one of these crafts, so to speak. And usually they get lights in the sky or some kind of an interaction. Do you think that was happening on a subconscious level with you?
Yeah, I know it was because I was, I was in a different state of mind when I was creating the photos because I wanted to capture an energy in the photographs. But I think it was also their way of showing me and telling me that Kevin, we're with you at all times. We know where you are. We know what you're doing. We are with you.
Hmm.
And that is such a comforting thing, knowing that they are with me at all times. And I know that they know the future. I know that they are protecting me
Hmm.
because I'm on a special mission. And this is their way of showing that you have to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. And that's the proof is right there,
Right.
in the picture. You cannot deny it.
Right, and you also have had positive experiences with these, and some people have. Well, we've talked about military abductions before, which is a completely different animal. That's
Mm,
covert intel. But the stuff that you've experienced is more positive because it's something off planet, which is more inspiring and more enlightened, and apparently more advanced. Would you say?
definitely, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
would think. Also, it's interesting. Most people assume, or not most, but a lot of people do assume that anything off planet is hostile, and that's just not the case. I mean, here is the hostility, and this is what I mean by mankind needs to break that pattern. He cannot do this anymore. It's so not functional. And I get to the point where I don't have any tolerance for it. I just don't have any patience for this hostility. And obviously you hear me addressing things in a different format, but I would love to just sit on, in higher frequency and just relax. I'd love to be able to just relax. I think everybody
Hmm.
else can relate who's listening. We get tired of the drama. So
Hmm.
I'm so happy for you that you're able to do that because it sounds to me like you don't have a whole lot of this drama. And of course, being in Canada, there's a buffer there too, from what's going on over here, which is nice.
Yeah, I try it. I got really absorbed during the election. It was very distracting.
Hmm.
But
How do you think we felt?
oh, I know. Well, I was so angry. I hate CNN. I even though I check CNN regularly, I just have to. It's kind of like keep a close eye on your enemy, so to speak.
Hmm.
And
Right.
just watching how they manipulate information.
Hmm.
It was so crazy. Like the last week of when Comey came, or I think it's Comey, whoever came, the
Hmm.
FBI,
Right.
when he came out, and CNN was trying to blow it off like, oh, this is just ridiculous, like why are they
Hmm.
bringing this up?
Yep.
But that
Yep.
I'm so glad that I can't believe that Trump's in, because now we finally have a chance to get rid of to hopefully somehow get control of things again and get rid of the cabal.
Hmm. That's so
um, I, s-
true.
I still can't believe like it got so bad that I was arguing with my own family members in regards to them supporting Hillary Clinton.
Oh God.
And I was just like, even after I sent some information, they actually said to me, Kevin, I don't want to see it.
What? See, this is what I mean. They're so in denial. They don't even bother to research anything. That's the problem. And they
Yeah.
were spoon-fed the propaganda from CNN so that they're not
Yes.
paying attention. I mean, Donald J. Trump is wonderful man. He's a wonderful man. I'm so proud and so happy to have him as our new president. And it's embarrassing when I see all this stuff going on here with the propaganda that they're doing. It's such non-productive energy. And you know what amazes me? You know that karmic wave, Kevin? Because when people perpetuate that much lie and deception 24 hours a day, you know it's going to hit them in the ass. Excuse my French. It's going to hit them. It's going to come back.
Well, it finally did. I mean,
Mhm.
because Hillary lost.
Right.
And it was funny. It's so amazing because, like, honestly, my cousins stopped talking to me because I was showing them, like, they don't want to see it. They didn't want to see. I said, okay, did you realize that Hillary Clinton had highly classified emails on her private server that was compromising security? And they're like, and she even deleted them. And that shows that she clearly consciousness of guilt. That's part of the process of crimination.
Mhm.
And I said there's presently a U.S. Marine who's serving a prison sentence because he had 5 photographs of on board the submarine that he worked.
Right.
So how come he's in jail, yet Hillary Clinton can have 30,000, highly classified emails on a private server and delete them, and they have proof that she deleted them and that she lied to the FBI on 7 occasions. I watched the video
Mhm.
of the inquiry, and he actually, the FBI director confirmed where she lied 7 times. It only takes one time lying to the FBI to be incriminated.
Very
Yet
true.
they just blow it off like, oh, we don't have evidence that yes, yes, I said that she lied, but no, we don't have evidence to actually say that she lied. It's like this the special treatment that she gets is like, if you're going to become president, you have the power. Don't worry, we're just gonna shove that aside. Don't worry.
And that's just one
Move
little
along.
thing. You know,
Move
that's the
along.
tip of the iceberg. What you're mentioning is
Just
one little thing.
just that's
Yeah.
just one
I mean,
thing.
WikiLeaks, if you look at the WikiLeaks and all the other stuff that she's been doing, she's corrupt, she's dirty as can be. So many layers of corruption. And as I said before, if these people are protesting out there against Trump and he hasn't even been in the White House yet. I mean,
And he
literally, he
hasn't
hasn't.
even done anything.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
hasn't
he
done
hasn't done a
anything.
thing.
Yeah.
If they have a gripe, they should have been griping at Obama, who's destroyed and gutted this country, opened it up for terror cells, and everything else that he's been doing that's literally treason oriented. I can go down a
No,
list of how many times he's committed treason, and yet nobody's protesting him. This is what I
never.
mean. This is what I mean by the complacency. They're either triggered. It's really strange because it's almost like they're triggered with good people. What I've seen is a lot of scummy people like really having crazy riots out there, and it's really concerning to me what kind of quality of people there are. But I'll tell you point blank, man, there's something wrong there. There's something way wrong with what's happening here on the timeline and how they're perceiving Donald J. Trump when in fact it's 100% inaccurate. And that's mind control. That's a lot of social engineering.
Yes, it is. Well,
So,
and that's a whole thing. I was actually tweeting out some tweets from some of the like CNN and the other ones where they are actually admitting, yes, we were Hillary biased, and we made the mistake of ignoring the Trump supporters.
hmm.
It's our bad. Ooh, we made a mistake there. But you still gotta trust us. Okay, we kind of screwed up a little bit. Ignoring the other guys because we had an agenda. They admitted to it.
Yeah,
It's
the no
like,
order agenda. You know what's really interesting? I've never seen in my entire life somebody attacked as much as Donald J. Trump has been attacked. I have never seen. It's like he's Jesus Christ. I have never seen anybody attacked like this. I mean,
I
my
know.
goodness, they are taking every shot they can. They're throwing the kitchen sink at him. And, they went out of their way to sabotage the election. They had dead people voting, people that weren't even legal trying to vote. We had all sorts of crap going on where they were literally trying to rig the system. I mean, and he
And it was,
still
yeah,
wins. This is the beauty of it, Kevin. He still won. So if you really were to calculate the votes, he probably won by more than a landslide.
he did. I think he
Yeah.
like won what 284, and she won. I don't know what she won, but
I think it's a lot more than that, considering how much they cheated. That was my point. It's just
yeah,
crazy. But yeah, I'm glad that part's over. But what's really disappointing is like I said, is this aggression, this craziness, these people rioting and protesting, and this touchy-feely mentality. These kids that don't have any backbone. My gosh, I mean, literally, they're like, where are they coming from? They wouldn't survive 2 minutes in my martial arts class. I'm like, what are these things? I
have
mean,
you heard about
spawn them.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah? Have you heard about the colleges who are having crying rooms and Play-Doh rooms to console them,
Sorry.
because Trump won?
I mean, this is what I mean by social engineering. Now, what programmed them to behave that way? Mainstream media, schools, everything that's been going on here has been a program of social engineering because they wouldn't be acting that way if they weren't programmed to act that way. That's my point, too. And it's crazy. It's insanity in motion. If they're that fragile in their psyche, they belong in a mental institution. They belong
You,
in an institution with meds. End of
well,
story.
yeah, exactly because I've got a friend and she is she's an eye doctor. And when I sent her the email, the stuff about Hillary Clinton and the what's going on with the email server, you know what her response back to me was?
Mm-mm.
And this is an educated woman. She said, "Okay, so she had a couple problems with her IT."
What? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had a couple IT problems. She was using the wrong email server or the wrong email address. That is what she said. That's how ignorant these people are.
They really are. And I'd like to say they're misinformed. They haven't been told the truth. But the bottom line is they have been told the truth. They haven't researched it. And so now they're acting out in their own ignorance and stupidity. And a lot of it's based on fear. A lot of these people are terrified. Oh, Trump's going to, what do they think he's going to do for crying out loud? He's a wonderful man. He's going to restore this country for crying out loud. And everybody and their mother's blowing a gasket. I mean,
Hmm.
just the week he's been, elected to be our president, we've had success. I mean, the energy's changed. The dynamic of this country has changed. The vibration has changed. It's more in alignment with what I call cosmic design, right? It's more pure. And
Yeah.
all these evil pieces of garbage that are starting these wars and inciting all these problems and these race wars and whatever it is, shame on a lot of them for doing that. How dare they? How dare they? I'm sorry, but they need to be prosecuted for inciting any type of a race war or any type of an assassination or anything else. Oh, it gets me so angry. Kevin, I get so pissed off about it, truly. It's just, it's not appropriate. That's the bottom line. When you know that things are not appropriate and these people are getting away with it, that's just no good. So,
I know.
But be thankful you're in Canada, I guess. But at the same time, I'm sure you guys have your own problems. But I do think that having Donald J. Trump in office as president will be a lot better than anyone could possibly imagine. I think people are underestimating him. So.
The tides have changed.
Mm-hmm.
The tides have changed.
Yep, they certainly have. And that's all good.
Yep.
Well, we needed that. And that's where we're talking about the positive energy, because a lot of people, it doesn't matter what religion you are, they were praying and sending and asking and bringing in divine energies for, we've been talking about this on Revolution Radio for a long time about the corruption going on in D.C., the misuse of covert technology I've addressed on the front lines. I've testified against it. I can go on and on about the things that I know are so corrupt in that system that need to change. And now we have this wonderful being who's literally, he could have retired. He doesn't even have to be out there. He doesn't have to be the president. And he could have just retired and had his wonderful family. But he actually is out there in representation in support of this country. And I think that people just really need to back up the truck, man, and start looking at things from a different perspective. But I see a lot of selfishness, Kevin. I see a lot of people that are so self-absorbed and so sociopath-oriented that they don't get it. They don't see the bigger scenery behind anything. It's all about them.
I think that Donald J. Trump, he ran for president because he really needed the money.
Yeah. That's going to be the latest tweet,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's gold. I always tell everybody he's gold. People don't realize that he's gold. He's gold to this country. He's gold to the world. And that's something you don't want to mess with. You want to make sure that I just say prayers and healing around him. I want to make sure he stays safe before they try something drastic. But he needs to be in office. I kept telling everybody they need to have an emergency transfer of power immediately. They need to basically transfer the power over to Donald J. Trump now without this formal inauguration. Do an emergency transfer. I know they can do it. And also they have to arrest Obama for treason. And they have to go after the Clintons. And that's my beef. And I know for a fact that they need to do this because I know for a fact they've committed treason. That's a huge deal. And if people don't want to acknowledge it, that's their problem. But what we're seeing here globally is the cabal, the New World Order, losing their power, losing their momentum. This is why they're attacking him, because the New World Order can't survive, and they know that. So, hey,
that's right.
You know what? They were never meant to survive. And had they paid attention to the cosmic design and the universal blueprint, they would have realized that they never had a snowball's chance in hell. They've been lying and deceiving people. They've been mind controlling them on a collective level, social engineering for decades. Finally, people are snapping out of it. Thank goodness. But, still people are being slept, Kevin. Look how many people are being slept.
Well, you know what? I think, Solaris, honestly, this is what we're seeing right now is an awakening on the grandest scale, because we know that whenever something is proposed, and this is through science, through scientific reason, that it's always attacked as completely ludicrous. It's met with anger. And then it goes through a whole period where at the end it ends up being accepted as always fact, that it was always truth, and that it was always fact. So what's happening is we are seeing a global awakening on a very large scale where people are waking up, but this is the natural process that we have to go through. So as painful as it is, we need to continue to keep our energies high and ignore, basically protect ourselves in our light, and protect ourselves in our light and keep that light bright, because when the energy is strong, people will feel it, and because whatever energy that you put out into the universe is going to come back to you. It's the law. It's the law of physics. It's the law of quantum physics, universal law. And I truly believe in that. And I've seen it. I've seen it in so many things. And through the people who I've interviewed on my radio show and what the Greys have taught. That's exactly what they're trying to teach us. It's exactly what they're trying to teach us.
It's a mirror. It's a mirror between worlds. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, what you create, you manifest to some degree. And this is what I mean by these people. They should be very careful in how they're spinning propaganda because it will eat them alive. It will eat them up by universal law alone. It will do that. I always like that saying, we're walking each other home. I really love that saying because it's about us walking each other home to the stars, to the full light universe where we come from, our essence of origin. And when people start snapping out of it and they start realizing that everybody's here is souls and consciousness and there's no separation, it's just about energy, then they'll get it. But I think you're right, Kevin. I'm really glad that you're on the show tonight because you are addressing things that are bigger and wider insofar as what the bigger scenery is really all about in consciousness.
That's right.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's nice to have you on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I keep my energies protected, and it's difficult sometimes, but it's also it's inspiring when I know what energies it is that I feel, and when I play my music, and when I would go on, I'll watch something on YouTube and I'll watch a guitar player playing something, and they don't have that energy. It's just like, so many there's millions of guitar players out there who can play anything, amazingly technical. But I don't feel that cosmic energy that it is that I feel that my frequency design is. And that's the other thing I was going to mention too about frequency is that when I was speaking with Sherry Wild, who's been interacting with Grays all her entire life, she does not have an implant yet. Her the Grays, they always know where she is at all times. And I found out from her, she says that's because we all have an energy frequency signature. And they tap into that, and they know that. And that's why they know where I am, because they tap into my energy signature. They know where I am at all times. So that's an incredible thing. And what is important for every human being is to discover who they are and become the best at who it is that they are, taking their talents and making their talents better. Soar with your strengths, become the best of who you are, and you're going to feel your energy. You're going to feel your energy free field, and you have to breathe in that energy field and become more one with your energy field, and forget about all the noise around you, and the more and more that you become self-aware, the higher your vibration goes up. That's how it works.
Absolutely. I hope you're teaching that I don't think you're putting that in your guitar classes, are you? You should.
I should.
Yes, you should. What you just said is really important. And people who are interested in music really need to understand that at a higher level, because you're also touching on the higher self and the prana and the life force and universal life force energy, which is what we are. We're all interconnected on that level. So that's a very significant thing. And I agree with you. I think once we're clear, you get clarity through your higher self, oversoul, superconscious, in my opinion, on my path that I've been on. My clarity comes from that source energy, not from the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body. Those are aspects of things. But when you start really getting to the higher levels of consciousness, you see, as a spy bird, you're able to define and see the perimeters around you. And I think that's what you're really, you're communicating on a lot of different levels. People need to understand that. You know what's sad? I don't think they've been taught this, Kevin. I see a lot of people that really don't understand how to get in touch with that side of them. And it's just so significant right now. They get so distracted, but I think music is a great way for people to channel and bring the energy in and start being more creative. And I also think that a lot of people's actions that are more hostile are based on their self-esteem. I don't think they have a good sense of self-esteem.
Could be that too.
Yeah, but I would encourage you to put that in your class. You'll probably have a big class now.
It's growing.
I'm telling you. So the classes that you have with the guitar playing, you might want to incorporate spirit and consciousness. That's one thing I've never seen in the industry of music, is that there's wonderful bands out there in the past, not now. And usually there's a message in the poetry or there's a message in the lyrics. But where was the teaching and consciousness? They were never there to show everybody. They had such control over large masses and groups of people. And yet, it seems to me like, wow, when you have that much influence over the masses, don't you have an obligation to kind of inspire them on a higher level of consciousness and tell them what soul and spirit is about?
That's a funny thing with me too, because I haven't been given very much of an opportunity to be able to play for large audiences at this stage right now. So and all I've ever wanted to do my entire life was play for mass people. It's so difficult for me to go to a concert theater and see a band play, because the feeling that I feel is so, like, it's hard to describe because I should be up there.
Hmm.
I, and I don't have the opportunity. I'm not given the chance.
Well, you
And
need the chance, so those doors need to open for you. So we have to set the intent to
I know.
open up those doors because you do. I'd love to see you playing on different planets. I mean, I'm sure you do already. But this may sound abstract to everybody listening, but I don't discount because I know we have a black space program anyway. But literally playing on another planet, you'd be surprised. I just don't think that you're going to be playing for small audiences for too long, Kevin. I see big audiences around you. I see large groups of people. So, you know,
I do
it's
too.
time. It's
It's
time.
everything is coming together as it should be
Hmm.
with the proper placements. These guitar lessons, I did this purposely so that it would generate revenue for me so that I can support a tour. That's the whole reason why I sacrificed the last year and a half. I didn't play any live shows. All I did was work on these lessons to be able to start bringing in income so that I can get out there and start touring. That's the whole reason why I create these lessons. There's a plan here.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. And you're a
there's
good
a plan.
businessman too. I know that because of the work that you've done, and you're phenomenal about how you market yourself. You're really good.
I have a background in marketing. In fact,
Hmm.
actually, I still have a day job right now. I work for a marketing company,
Yep.
and they think I'm genius in regards to some of the stuff I'm doing.
You're
So
awesome. Yeah, you're very good at what you do. There's no doubt about that. And I encourage everybody to listen to your music. I know we're going to hit the break here in a second or two, but isn't it interesting? Don't you see that a lot of people and the illusion of all these people have these big gigs and they're really super successful? I was talking to one of my guests the other day on this, and he told me that they were kind of pre-selected insofar as they were always pre-selected because it's politics. It's always about cabals or even I don't call them the Illuminati, but the New World Order, things that are basically covert but very corrupted, and to some degree that some of these people really don't deserve to be in the industry, but that's how they get in.
hmm yeah.
Do you see that?
hmm
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what always amazes me because there are a lot of people out there who I feel are not talented that really are only there because of their opportunity with these cabals, and I don't think it's an opportunity at all. It's actually a downward spiral to nowhere because if you don't earn it on a higher level, if you have to sell out to something like that so corrupt, then to me it's like you just sold your soul. So and that's the one thing. That's probably why your frequency is so high, Kevin, because you haven't been contaminated. You know.
No, and I can't be contaminated. I'm too powerful.
You have
I really am.
immunity. That's
I
me
do.
too. Somebody told me I had immunity to skinwalkers one time, and I guess I do because I've been through hell and back. So,
Well, yeah. Jeez.
I
Yeah.
live. I keep telling everybody I'm still here. I'm still alive. So, yeah,
Yeah.
watching the
Yeah.
world as it progresses for sure. So, once again, give everybody a rundown as far as how to access your wonderful. Well, let's talk about your radio show when we get back too. So, you're
Mhm.
doing radio now.
I sure am.
That's cool. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we can talk about that after the break. Because um, I was approached by artistfirst.com, which are one of the largest radio shows, internet radio shows, and at first I thought they were just offering me, a radio interview, and they said no, we're offering your own show. I'm
Excellent.
like,
Well, hang on, Kevin. We're going to head for a break. We're going to talk about that when we get back here. You listen to Ravenstar Switching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris BluerRaven. My wonderful guest tonight is Kevin Estrella. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.